The beeping of the heart monitor is the only steady thing in this room. My own heart is pounding in my ears. I'm Dr. Marcus Reed, and I'm holding the hand of a 72-year-old woman who just whispered the most terrifying thing I've ever heard. Her name is Helen Carter. Her eyes are wide, full of a fear so deep it feels ancient. She just woke up, and the first thing she said to me, her voice a cracked whisper, was, "Don't send me home. I'm safer here." Let me tell you how we got here. It started on a quiet Sunday night at Memorial Hospital in Detroit. The ER was its usual chaotic self. Then, the doors slammed open. A woman, Emily Carter, rushed in, half carrying, half dragging her mother. The older woman was unconscious. Blood matted her silver hair. A deep gash on her forehead wept onto the clean floor. The smell of copper and fear hit me like a wall. "She just fell," Emily said. Her words came out in a rushed, shaky stream. "It happens. She's old." She repeated it like a mantra, like if she said it enough, it would become true. But her eyes darted everywhere except at her mother's face. Her hands wouldn't stop fidgeting. My head nurse, Sarah, shot me a look. We've been doing this long enough to know when a story doesn't fit. As we transferred Helen to a gurney, Sarah gently pushed up the sleeve of the woman's housecoat. I saw them then, fading yellow and purple bruises circling her thin wrists. Old ones, the kind that tell a story of repeated struggles. Emily saw us looking. She moved closer, a nervous shadow. "She's clumsy," she insisted, her voice tightening, "always bumping into things." We needed a CT scan, fast. Emily refused to leave her mother's side. She hovered by the door to the imaging room, a statue of pure anxiety. I had to gently insist that she wait in the family area. Her face tightened, but she finally stepped back. The air felt thick with everything she wasn't saying. I thought that was the peak of the drama. I was wrong. About 30 minutes later, a new storm hit. The ER doors flew open again. A man, maybe late 30s, his face a mask of fury and panic, charged in. "Where is she?" he yelled, his voice echoing off the sterile walls. He scanned the room, his eyes locking onto me. "Don't believe a word Emily says," he screamed, pointing a trembling finger toward the waiting room. "She did this! My sister did this!" Silence. Then the shouting started. Emily came running out, her face pale. "Jason, stop it! You don't know what you're talking about!" They were screaming at each other right there in the middle of my ER. Accusations of abuse, of money, of a lifetime of secrets, all exploding in a public corridor. It was a family war, and my patient, an unconscious old woman, was the battlefield. And now Helen is awake. Her hand is trembling in mine. Her simple, desperate plea hangs in the air between us. "Don't send me home." It changes everything. It's not just a fall. It was never just a fall. And I'm standing here in the quiet beep of this room, realizing I'm not just a doctor anymore. I'm a witness, and I have to decide what to do next. The silence after Jason's outburst was heavier than any noise. It was a physical thing, pressing down on the ER. Emily stood frozen, her face a stark white against the bright lights. Her brother Jason was breathing like he'd just run a marathon, his chest heaving. All the anger seemed to drain out of him for a second, replaced by a raw, gut-wrenching pain. He looked from me to his sister, his eyes begging someone to believe him. That's when my training kicked in. The doctor part of my brain took over. "Security to the ER, now," I said into the comms, my voice surprisingly steady. I stepped between them, a human wall in a white coat. "That's enough, both of you." I looked at Jason. "You need to calm down. This is a hospital." I turned to Emily. Her lower lip was trembling. She looked like a little girl who'd been caught in a lie. I had Sarah guide a shaking Emily back to the private family room. Jason reluctantly followed another nurse to a separate area. The air in the corridor still felt electric, charged with their accusations. I could still hear Jason's voice ringing in my ears. "She did this." My mind was racing, trying to piece it all together. The old bruises on Helen's arms, Emily's nervous, repetitive story, and now a brother screaming about inheritance. It was a messy, horrible puzzle.
I walked back to Helen's room. The beeping of the monitor was a gentle rhythm in the chaos. She was sleeping again, her face peaceful for the first time since she'd arrived. But her words were burned into my mind. I'm safer here. I looked at her fragile hands resting on the stiff white sheets, those same hands that had probably tried to shield herself. I thought about my own mom, living safely in Arizona. The contrast made my stomach twist. I pulled up Helen's chart on the computer. The CT scan results were back. A subdural hematoma, a brain bleed, consistent with a significant impact, but not necessarily a simple fall from standing. The radiologist's note said it was suspicious for a high-energy event. I felt a cold dread settle in my chest. This wasn't an accident. This was a trauma. I had to make a choice. I was standing at a crossroads. My ethical duty was to my patient, to Helen. Her whispered plea was her testimony. But I also had a family tearing itself apart in my waiting room. I had a daughter with a story that didn't fit the evidence. I had a son screaming a different truth. I took a deep breath and picked up the phone. I called social services. I started the process. It felt like dropping a stone into a still pond, knowing the ripples would change everything. I'm standing here now, looking at this brave woman who finally felt safe enough to tell the truth in her first waking moment. The weight of her trust is immense. I have to get this right. For her. I keep imagining how far this story could go. How many other people might be hiding similar secrets behind their own front doors. It makes me feel so isolated, right here in the middle of Detroit. I wonder if anyone out there understands this kind of quiet dread. Comment below what city you're listening from, just so I know I'm not alone in this. Her hand is so small in mine. It feels like holding a bundle of dry twigs. I can feel every single bone. She's asleep again, but her words are a ghost in the room. Don't send me home. I can't get them out of my head. The social worker, a woman named Linda with kind eyes and a no-nonsense clipboard, is on her way. But in this quiet moment, it's just me, Helen, and the weight of what comes next. I make a decision. I need to talk to Jason, alone. Emily is too volatile, too deep in her own story. But Jason, he exploded with the truth, or at least his version of it. I ask Sarah to bring him to my small, cramped office. It's not an interrogation room, but it feels like one tonight. The fluorescent light hums overhead, flickering just a little. It makes everything feel unstable. Jason walks in. The fury from the corridor is gone. Now he just looks exhausted, hollowed out. He slumps into the chair across from my desk. He won't look at me at first. He just stares at his own hands, clenched into fists on his knees. "I'm sorry about the scene," he mumbles. His voice is rough, like gravel. I saw my dad's car at her house. I knew something was wrong." I lean forward, keeping my voice low and calm. "Jason, I need you to tell me what you think happened, from the beginning." I watch him. Every twitch, every flicker in his eyes matters now. He takes a shaky breath. "It's always been about the money," he starts, his voice gaining a bitter edge. "The life insurance, the house. Mom updated her will a few months ago. She told me she was leaving more than me. She said she needed to make sure I was taken care of." He finally looks at me, and his eyes are pleading. "Emily found out. She lost it. Called Mom every day, screaming. Said she was the one who took care of her, that she deserved it all." He tells me about the last few weeks, the angry phone calls he overheard, the way Emily would show up unannounced, demanding to see financial papers. He says he tried to talk to his mom, but Helen would just shut down. She was scared, Jason says, and his voice breaks on the word. She was scared of her own daughter. I should have done something sooner. I should have taken her out of that house. He puts his face in his hands. His shoulders shake. It's not an act. This is the grief and the guilt of a son who thinks he failed. I believe his pain is real. But is his story the whole truth? It paints a clear picture. Greedy daughter, vulnerable mother, a fight over money that turned physical.
But then I think of Emily in the family room, the genuine, panicked fear in her eyes when she brought her mom in. It wasn't the look of a cold-hearted abuser. It was the look of someone who was terrified. Of what? Of getting caught? Or of something else entirely? I thank Jason and tell him to wait. I need to see Emily. I need to hear her side with his accusations fresh in my mind. The story is splitting into two different paths, and I'm standing at the fork, trying to see which one leads to the truth. Helen holds the map, but she's sleeping, and I'm afraid of what she'll draw when she wakes up for good. Which of these two people, both claiming to love her, is the real danger in her home? I walk into the family room. The air is thick and still. Emily is sitting on a cheap vinyl couch, her arms wrapped tightly around herself. She's staring at a faded poster about hand washing, but I don't think she's seeing it. She looks up when I enter. Her eyes are red-rimmed and puffy. She looks younger than she is, and completely shattered. I sit down across from her, leaving a small table between us. I don't want to crowd her. "Emily," I say, my voice soft, "your brother said some things. I need to hear from you. I need to understand what's happening with your mom." She flinches when I mention Jason. A raw, immediate reaction. "He's always hated me," she whispers. Her voice is hoarse from crying. "He doesn't know anything. He's never been there. He just wants the money." She says the last word with so much venom it surprises me. "Tell me about the money, Emily," I say, keeping my tone neutral, like a doctor asking about symptoms. She lets out a shaky breath that's almost a sob. "Mom changed her will. She told me last month. She's leaving him the house. The whole house." Her hands fist in the fabric of her jeans. "After everything I've done. I live 10 minutes away. I'm there every single day. I cook her meals. I take her to appointments. I clean her house. Jason? He calls on her birthday. Maybe." She looks at me, her eyes begging me to understand. "He poisoned her against me. He told her I was stealing from her. He told her I wasn't taking good care of her. It's all lies." I watch her carefully. The emotion feels real. The hurt, the betrayal. It doesn't feel like someone concocting a story. It feels like a daughter who believes she's been wronged. "What happened tonight, Emily? How did your mother get hurt?" Her story doesn't change. "She fell." She looks down at her hands, picking at a loose thread on her jeans. "She was getting out of the bath. I heard a thud. I ran in, and she was on the floor." She looks back up, and fresh tears well in her eyes. "There was so much blood. I was so scared. I just picked her up and drove here as fast as I could." It's the same story, a simple, tragic accident. But then I remember the CT scan, the high-energy impact, the old bruises, and Helen's own words. "Emily," I say, choosing my words with care, "the injuries your mother has, they're significant. They suggest something more than a simple fall in the bathroom." Her face closes off. The vulnerability vanishes, replaced by a hard, defensive mask. "What are you saying? You think I hurt my own mother?" Her voice rises, sharp and brittle. "You're believing him? You're just like everyone else? You see a daughter taking care of her mother, and you assume the worst?" She stands up, her whole body trembling. "I would never hurt her. Never." And in that moment, I see it. The flicker of something else in her eyes, underneath the anger. It's not just defensiveness. It's fear. A deep, chilling terror. But what is she so afraid of? Is it the fear of being exposed? Or is it the same fear I saw in her mother's eyes? I calm her down, ask her to please sit. I tell her we're just trying to get the full picture to help her mom. She sits back down, but she's pulled so far into herself, she seems to disappear into the couch. I leave the room, my head spinning. Two siblings, two completely different stories. One of greed and violence. One of devotion and betrayal. Both of them are pointing fingers. Both of them are in pain. And in the middle of it all is a woman who is afraid to go home. I walk back toward Helen's room. The social worker, Linda, has arrived. She's a calm presence in the chaotic hallway. We speak in low tones near the nurse's station. I tell her everything. The physical evidence, the conflicting stories from the children. And most importantly, the patient's own whispered plea for safety. Linda nods, her face serious. She's seen this before. The tangled web of family dynamics where the truth is the first casualty. "We'll need to place a temporary hold," she says softly. "She can't be discharged to either of them until we sort this out. We'll need to talk to her when she's more alert." I feel a heavy sense of relief, mixed with a profound sadness. We are taking a woman's freedom away, for her own protection. It's the right thing, the only thing to do, but it feels like a failure of a family to keep one of its own safe. I push the door to Helen's room open. She's awake. Her eyes are open, and they track me as I walk to her bedside. She looks more present, more aware. The sedation is wearing off. "Helen," I say, my voice gentle. "My name is Dr. Reed. How are you feeling?" She swallows, a difficult, dry sound. She looks from me to Linda, who has followed me in. Helen's eyes linger on Linda's official-looking badge. A strange calm seems to settle over her. It's not the peace of someone who is safe. It's the resignation of someone who knows the game is up. She looks back at me, her gaze clear and direct. The fear is still there, but it's been pushed aside by something stronger. A desperate need for the truth to finally be told. She opens her mouth. Her voice is still a whisper, but it's stronger now. It cuts through the quiet hum of the hospital room. "It wasn't Emily," she says. The world stops. Those 3 words change everything. All the assumptions, all the accusations. They hang in the air, simple and devastating. I lean closer, my heart hammering against my ribs. "Helen, what wasn't Emily?" She takes another labored breath. Her eyes are locked on mine, willing me to understand. "She didn't push me," Helen whispers. "She was trying to catch me." I have to lean against the wall for a second. My legs feel weak. She was trying to catch me. The whole story I've been building in my head just shattered. It wasn't Emily. All this time, I thought I was looking at an abuser. I was looking at a victim trying to protect someone. But who? If Emily didn't push her, then who did? Helen is still looking at me, her eyes begging me to understand something she can't quite say. The social worker, Linda, steps closer to the bed. Her voice is incredibly gentle. "Helen, can you tell us what happened? Who pushed you?" Helen's eyes dart toward the door, then back to me. It's a look of pure animal fear. The kind of fear that tells you the danger is still out there. The danger is real, and it has a name. She opens her mouth, but no sound comes out. She just shakes her head slowly, a tear tracing a path through the wrinkles on her cheek. She's too scared to say it. My mind is racing, connecting the dots I should have seen before. Jason's story, his fury, his accusations. He was so quick to blame his sister. He was so specific about the money, about the will. He painted himself as the concerned son, the one who was looking out for his mother. But he was the one who showed up screaming. He was the one who made the scene. He was the one trying to control the narrative from the very first second. I look at Linda. I see the same realization dawning in her eyes. We were looking in the wrong direction. The threat wasn't the nervous daughter in the waiting room. It was the angry son who pointed the finger. I think about Jason in my office. His guilt, his pain. It felt so real. But now I wonder, was it guilt for not protecting her? Or was it guilt for what he actually did? The pieces start to click into a horrifying new picture. A son who feels entitled to an inheritance. A mother who changes her will, perhaps to be more fair to the daughter who actually cares for her. A confrontation. A push.
And a sister who walks in at the worst possible moment, who sees her mother falling and tries to catch her. Emily wasn't lying. She was telling her version of the truth. She heard a thud, she ran in, her mother was falling. In her mind, her mother fell. Because admitting she saw her brother push their mom, that's a line she couldn't cross. She was protecting him. Or maybe she was just too terrified of him. I remember the way she flinched when I mentioned his name. That wasn't just sibling rivalry. That was fear. Helen, I say, my voice barely above a whisper. I need to be sure. I can't make another wrong assumption. Was it Jason? She doesn't nod. She doesn't have to. The way her face crumples, the way her whole body seems to shrink into the bed, is confirmation enough. A quiet, devastating sob escapes her. It's the sound of a heart breaking. It's the sound of a mother admitting her son hurt her. The air leaves the room. Linda immediately moves into action, her phone in her hand, stepping out to make a call, probably to the police. This is a crime now. My job is to keep Helen safe. I adjust her blanket, my hands trembling. I don't know what to say. You're safe now, I tell her. It feels like such a small, stupid thing to say, but it's all I have. You're safe here. She closes her eyes, more tears squeezing out. She's safe from one danger, but now she has to face another. The danger of losing a son, the danger of the legal system, the exposure of a family's darkest secret. I have to go out there. I have to face Jason. I have to tell Emily that her brother, the person she was probably trying to protect, is the reason her mother is in this hospital bed. I have to walk back into that hallway where this all started and bring the real truth with me. It feels heavier than any medical textbook I've ever carried. The truth isn't a relief, it's a burden, and I have to be the one to deliver it. I take a deep breath and push the door open. The corridor hasn't changed. The same bright lights, the same smell of antiseptic, but I'm different. I know what happened now. I walk toward the family room first. I need to see Emily. She's still on the couch, but she's curled up on her side now, like a child. She looks up as I come in. Her eyes are hollow. Is she okay? She asks, her voice raspy. She's stable, I say. I sit down, not across from her, but next to her on the couch. I need her to hear this. Emily, your mother woke up. She told us what happened. Emily's breath hitches. She knows what's coming. She's been holding this inside since the moment she arrived. It was Jason, she whispers, her voice thick with tears. I just nod. She lets out a choked sound, half sob, half gasp of relief. The relief of someone who has been carrying a terrible secret alone. I saw him, she cries, her words tumbling out now. I came over to bring Mom her medicine. I heard them yelling. I walked into the hallway, and I saw his hands on her shoulders. He was shaking her. She stumbled back, and she fell. I ran. I tried to catch her. There was so much blood on the tile. She covers her face with her hands. He looked at me. He told me if I said anything, he'd tell everyone I did it, that I was unstable, that I was after the money. He said no one would believe me. And they didn't. At first, even I was skeptical of her. He set her up perfectly. He preemptively blamed her, knowing his story would sound more believable. The devoted son versus the unstable daughter who was always there. He used her devotion against her. I feel a cold anger building inside me. He used my ER, my time, my patient as a stage for his lie. He manipulated everyone. You should have told us, Emily, I say, but my voice is soft. I'm not blaming her. I understand terror. I was scared, she sobs. He's my brother, and I thought maybe it was an accident, that he didn't mean for her to fall. That's the tragic part. She was making excuses for him even as she drove her bleeding mother to the hospital. The family loyalty that keeps the worst secrets buried. I tell her to stay here, that the social worker and the police will need to talk to her.
She just nods, pulling her knees to her chest. She looks completely broken. Now for the hard part. I walk to the other room where Jason is waiting. He's on his phone, but he puts it down when I enter. He looks up at me, and he must see the truth on my face. The mask of the concerned son slips. I see a flash of something else in his eyes. Panic, calculation. My mother, is she talking? He asks. His voice is careful, too careful. She is, I say. I don't sit down. I stand between him and the door. She told us what happened, Jason. She told us you were the one in the house with her. The change in him is instant. The feigned concern vanishes, replaced by a cold, hard anger. She's confused, he snaps. The head injury. She doesn't know what she's saying. That proves it. She's not competent.
He's already building his defense, blaming the victim, a classic move. She seemed very clear to me, I say, keeping my voice level. She said you pushed her. He stands up, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. This is ridiculous. It was Emily. She's always been jealous. She's lying to you, and now my mother is lying because she's scared of her. He's pointing his finger at me now, his face turning red. The performance is over. This is the real Jason, the one his mother and sister are afraid of. The police are on their way, Jason, I tell him. You should wait here for them. The word police makes him freeze. The bluster deflates, and for a second, I see the scared man underneath, the man who knows he's been caught. He sinks back into the chair, his head in his hands. He doesn't say another word. I leave the room, my heart pounding. I just confronted a man who I believe is violent. I walk back to the nurse's station. Sarah looks at me, her eyes wide. She heard everything. Call security to stand outside that room, I tell her. Don't let him leave. She nods and picks up the phone. I look down the hall toward Helen's room. One family torn apart by greed and lies. An old woman who is safer in a hospital than in her own home. A daughter who was accused of a crime she didn't commit. A son who betrayed the most basic trust there is. I started my shift just trying to help a patient who fell. I'm ending it having uncovered a nightmare. It makes you wonder how many other families are hiding these same dark truths behind their quiet front doors. It makes the world feel like a dangerous place. If this story resonated with you, or if it made you think of something in your own life, let me know. Please like this video, comment, and subscribe. It helps more than you know. The police arrived. 2 officers, a man and a woman, their presence making the hallway feel even smaller. I led them to Helen's room first. She was tired, but she repeated her story. Her voice was a little stronger this time. She said Jason was angry about money, about her changing her will. He shoved her. She fell and hit her head on the marble hearth of the fireplace. She confirmed everything. Then they talked to Emily. She was a mess, but she was finally free from the secret. She told them everything she saw. Her brother's hands on their mother, the push, the threat he made to her in those seconds after the fall. She gave them a statement. It was over for Jason. They arrested him in the family room. He didn't fight. He just went quiet. As they led him out in handcuffs, he looked at me. There was no anger left, just a hollow emptiness. I watched them walk him down the corridor, past the gurneys and the staring people. A son leaving his mother in a hospital. I checked on Helen one last time before my shift ended. She was sleeping. The monitors beeped a steady, calm rhythm. She looked peaceful for the first time since she'd been wheeled in. She was safe. The system would take over now. Adult Protective Services, the courts. She wouldn't be going back to that house, not with him. I found Emily in the waiting room, talking softly with the social worker, Linda. They were making plans. Emily would stay with a friend. They'd arrange for Helen to go to a rehab facility, then probably an assisted living place. A new, safer chapter. It wasn't a happy ending, but it was an ending, with hope. I walked out of the hospital into the early morning air.
The sun was just starting to come up over Detroit, painting the sky in shades of orange and gray. My car was cold. I sat in the driver's seat for a long time, not starting the engine. I just stared at the steering wheel. I thought about family, the things we do to each other, the secrets we keep. I thought about how a house can become a prison, how love can get twisted into something ugly and controlling. I thought about Helen's voice, that first whisper, "Don't send me home." That will stay with me forever. This job, it's not just about fixing bones and stopping bleeding. Sometimes it's about listening for the quietest cries for help. It's about looking past the obvious story and finding the real one, the one that's hidden in the shadows of a family. It's heavy. It weighs on you. But then I thought about Helen sleeping peacefully. I thought about Emily, finally able to breathe without the weight of her brother's threat on her chest. We did that. The nurses, the social worker, me. We listened. We believed her. We kept her safe. That has to be enough. It has to be. I started the car and drove home. The city was waking up. People were going to work, getting coffee, living their lives.
I wondered how many of them were carrying their own quiet burdens. How many of them were just waiting for someone to listen. If this story hit home for you, if it made you feel something, please let me know. Drop a comment below. Tell me what you thought. And if you want to be there for the next story, for the next person who walks through these ER doors, please hit that like button and subscribe. It means the world. Thanks for listening.